I'm here with Rob Rock, the voice of melodic metal, and most recently lending his voice and his talents once again on a new album called Venom by Impellitteri on AFM Records. So, hey Rob, thanks for taking the time to talk with We Love Metal today.
All right. It's actually Frontiers Records.
Oh, it's on Frontiers? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll edit that out. So I've been listening to Venom quite a bit the last couple of weeks, and it's a pretty solid album. Songs that are right to the point. They don't overstay their welcome, which I find to be a detriment in a lot of albums these days. But, you know, I really enjoyed it. I got to imagine you guys are pretty pleased with how it's turned out.
Yeah, we're all pretty stoked about it, and we're glad it's getting a pretty good reaction from everybody. So, it's great that they can share in our enthusiasm for it.
Sure. Like I said, it's to the point, and I think the band has written songs like that in the past. The 3, 4, 5 minute songs that they don't overstay their welcome. They're really done well and executed perfectly. Is that kind of an intentional way you guys approach it, or it just works out that way?
I think a little of both. I mean, we like to get to the point with our songwriting. Me and Chris, basically, we go for good riffs and strong melodies and just try to cut the fat.
Yeah.
Like you said, we like to get right to the point. We like to get it down to the bare bones and just have a riff or a melody that sticks in your head, and there's something that you can sing along with later. Something that sticks to you, not just passing by or going through a drive-through window. Something that'll stick with you and that you'll play over and over again.
Yeah, I think I found that currently on the album with the song Rise. That one just kind of sticks into my head all day long. Any insight on that track in particular?
Well, it's really a rocker track,
Yeah.
It's basically it's a good old, I think it's a good old classic style song, like We Own the Night is, kind of in that same time frame. But yeah, I really like it. It's meant to be a song to motivate people to get up and chase their dreams.
Right. Yeah, definitely a positive vibe as always with your lyrics. So it's continued on this album. Do you have a particular favorite song right now from Venom?
Well, I keep going back and forth, but I definitely like Empire of Lies. I like Domino Theory. Jehovah is another track I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Domino Theory really sticks with me too, so.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Nightmare is a fun song. I like listening to that a lot.
Yeah, that one seems to be on the heavier side of things.
Yeah, definitely. Plus, vocally, we kind of took it in some strange areas, with the verses and stuff. So it was fun to do.
All right. Do you guys have any significant challenges making the record this time?
Well, this time was a little bit different with the fact that we were together prior to the album in a rehearsal room. We were rehearsing for a Korean tour.
Mm-hmm.
And we all got together and started rehearsing. We were a few days into rehearsal, and they called us and told us that, sorry, we have to cancel the whole thing because the main festival gig that we were headlining got blown away by a tornado or a typhoon.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the festival site was flooded, so the promoters decided just to cancel the whole thing for now, and we all just looked at it and said, well, now what are we going to do? And Chris said, well, I've been working on these songs for the last few years, and let me play them for you. So we started jamming on them in the rehearsal room, and that's basically where we started as a band to take, the riffs and song ideas that Chris had and start melting it all together.
Right.
So I went back to Florida after those rehearsals and started working on the lyrics and the melodies, and in the end, I think that it was like a shot in the arm. It was like, it was great to play live again together, and it always feels real good to get back into the room. You know, you remember how it is when you first started, and you feel the songs, and I think it was a good spark for us to start writing.
Yeah, that sounds a little different than how it seems to go most of the time these days, where people are shipping MP3 files around the world and collaborating that way rather than being in one room together.
Yeah, I've done it that way with other projects and stuff, you know.
Sure.
Like Timo Tolkki's Avalon, that's what I did. I just got his music and his demos, and then I went and sang it in my own little studio down the road here, and I haven't even met the guy yet, you know. So it's pretty cool. It came out great, but you know, I still like a handshake and a sit down.
Yeah,
a meal together or something, you know.
No doubt, the relationship building can be a multiplier, I think, in the any process really, whether it's business or music or whatever. Yeah,
you definitely. It feels more like home when you do that, you know, and that's definitely. I think that's the big difference for this album Venom, is that we all got together, we all gelled, we all had a blast, and then we went and worked on the record. So
okay,
it was great.
Cool. You know, you mentioned it had been a while. It's also been a while since you released any solo stuff. I think Garden came out, 7-8 years ago or so?
Yeah, I think it was 2007 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah, 2007. I think the live one came out in 2009.
Yeah. You got anything in the works?
I got a bunch of bits and pieces to put together, you know. I suppose I still do. I have a record deal with AFM, but with all the downloads and stuff, they're not structuring deals the same way, and they didn't want to continue with the old deal, the old style. They're trying to convince me to record the album on a much smaller budget, and basically I don't want to go backwards, so I haven't accepted that way yet.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm just kind of gathering my stuff together. My band played Bang Your Head in Germany last summer, and it felt great, and we're all ready to get going. So I think it's just a matter of me putting together a budget, and I might try the fan funding thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's successful for people or not. Or
you know, you hear a lot of real good success stories, but you don't hear about the ones that have failed. So yeah, it's hard to predict, I think.
Yeah, and then I gotta balance out, you know, what kind of budget do you ask for? How much, you know, you're gonna try to do it on a shoestring, or you're gonna try to do it the way you've always done it, you know? so yeah, that's just a battle I'm having about that. So, but eventually a new solo album will come forth. So.
All right, good to hear.
Yeah.
You mentioned Timo Tolkki. You know, you work with Impellitteri, Chris. You've worked with a lot of amazing musicians. I'm kind of curious, who's kind of been the most unique guy you've worked with?
Let's see, the most unique guy, personality or playing wise?
Yeah, well, either. I mean, I'll leave it open. Up to you.
Well, I think the most focused guy is Chris Impellitteri. I mean, he does one thing and he does it fantastic, and he knows that that's what he does, and he never veers from being a shred master, you know.
Right.
I mean, and I've worked with Roy Z, who's like the master of all. He does all that stuff. I mean, he does the shredding, he does the rock, he does the blues, he does the, you know, Tribe of Gypsies is kind of a Spanish flair to it. You know, he does all kinds of stuff. So you got the multifaceted Roy, you got the super focused Chris, you got, you know, Avantasia was a pretty cool thing. I think Tobias writes really great songs, and I was able to be a part of Avantasia 1 and 2, and I thought that turned out really good. And, you know, Axel Rudy Pell, he's a great player, and that, you know, he's a unique guy too, as himself. He's just a rock star in his boots, you know.
Yep. So
it's pretty cool. I met a lot of cool guys.
Sounds like you've had a good experience across the board. So.
Yeah, it's been good.
Okay. Talked about live. I always like to ask about live things. Kind of a maybe not a stumper question, but what's your most memorable live music experience, either as an artist or as a fan? Something crazy that happened, something cool that happened?
For live, huh? Live. That's a good one. I just think I think Sweden Rock, when Pelletary did Sweden Rock in 2009, I think that was a great experience. I mean, it was a great day. The wind was blowing in our face, and all I could see was a whole sea of people. I mean, everybody was there to see us. And we had a great show. We play out very rare with Pelletary over there, and we were able to do the Sweden Rock Fest. And we had done that before our Japan tour. And I think, I don't know, for some reason it just has a real strong memory for me, the way the people responded to us. It was really cool.
Just a positive thing that happened that sounds
Yeah, it was positive. Things were clicking. The people were awesome. It was a beautiful sunny day. You know, usually when I'm playing festivals, it starts raining and stuff like that. It happened to be twice at Bang Your Head, so that's what I was referring to. But yeah, Sweden Fest was a very positive thing.
Okay. With the new album, are there any touring plans for you guys?
Yeah, well, we're going back to Japan in the end of May for a tour.
Okay.
And then we have a promoter in the States and a promoter in Europe right now that are looking for touring possibilities for us. So we got our fingers crossed.
Okay.
That we can play some shows and maybe some good summer festivals coming up, you know.
Yeah. Well, European summer festivals. Unfortunately, the States doesn't do that very well. But
yeah, I don't know why they don't, but other than Prague Power, there's not too many other ones.
Yeah, and I happened to be at that year's and saw you play, and I really hadn't been that familiar with you before. And I was like, hey, this guy's pretty good. So yeah, count me a fan from that performance for sure.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
All right. Okay, Rob, one last question.
All right.
Our website is called We Love Metal. Why do you love metal?
Why do I love metal? I think because it moves me. I like listening to it. I like the power of it. I like the singing, at least the kind of singing I do. There's a lot of guys that do it, and I love hearing it. And I think it just strikes a chord with me, not only in my ears, but in my whole body. I kind of feel that music. Other music you hear, you're like, oh, yeah, that's nice, that's cool, or whatever. But metal really fires me up to crank it up and then get a little crazy. So I like metal.
All right. Great. Excellent answer. It's always seems to be about the emotional drive for a lot of people that I ask that question. It's it really gets the soul.
Yeah.
So, all right. Hey, thanks for taking the time to talk with We Love Metal today. And to all the fans out there, be sure to check out Venom for some great shredding, as Rob mentioned, and some excellent singing, as always. So, thanks, Rob.
Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
All right.